What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. Here we go. Wasting no time at all. We're going to get into the technical analysis. Look at the price action right now. Here we are at $105,000. It is the 30th of January. We are on the second to last day of the month right now. Looking ferocious. Looking like we want some, and to the upside, right? We had this diamond pattern, and while we were at the base of this move here, we were talking about how diamond patterns, whenever they break out, they're known for high velocity moves. And then they're also known to pull back to the breakout point and actually go through it, right? I was expecting that move to happen. It's normally high velocity too, so high velocity down, high velocity on the way back. Diamond patterns are known for very volatile breakouts. They're kind of ugly patterns, and they're known for ugly breakouts too, right? Not always. Sometimes they're very, very to the point. They're not so volatile, but they're known for this, right? So it's very possible in this diamond pattern that we pull through it. We find the top here, and then you go lower. It's possible. That's actually pretty iconic of diamond patterns, but I don't think we will. I don't think if we look at Bitcoin in the greater scheme of things, maybe on a daily time frame it'll be obvious. But I don't think that we consolidated here for this long, found support in the middle of the zone overall at previous areas of resistance and resistance throughout this time frame at 100K for support. Made everybody think that now on this low, right at the lowest point, right, that you were there for like an hour or two. Arthur Hayes was talking about how Bitcoin's going to 70K. He's a very renowned figure in the space, whether renowned and infamous, I would say, right? He clearly doesn't know everything, and he's been wrong a good bit of the time. Just because someone has a big name does not mean that they're God, right? This kind of drop, this guy, Arthur Hayes, he's a crypto OG, so he's not with the times. He thinks it's as simple as it's always been. Oh, well, the relative high is here. We're going to pull back to 74K because that's a 30% correction. 75K is a 30% correction. He thinks he's so smart because he thinks he has this kind of experience over everybody else, and experience matters. And in crypto, Bitcoin's pullbacks normally are 30 to 40% pullbacks, right? That's why it makes sense. But in crypto, Bitcoin normally has not had ETFs, normally has had an anti-crypto United States government and SEC regulatory body who's a bully to the crypto space. We don't have any of that now. And we have a president who just announced we need to establish a crypto strategic reserve. And there's very friendly, very dovish Fed meetings that we had today. I don't think we're going down, bro. I don't think we're going down. If anything, if you take everything out of context that I just said, and you just look, maybe don't take everything out of context. Maybe just have none of it in this context at all. Just looking at the chart, it makes a lot of sense that we're finding support right here. It would make a lot of sense that we're finding support right here. If we had this kind of fake out move right here, and it was a higher low from another fake out move. Fake out, ha, we're not going down. Fake out, ha, we're not going down. It's just a matter of time before we get the real move to the upside. Okay, and I think we are about to get that real move to the upside now. In fact, if we look at the daily time frame, you look at the daily RSI, whenever we moved up here, okay, we came from, oh, it's just so perfect. I was looking at this earlier. I can't believe I didn't start the video with this. I always do this. All right, I've noticed a lot of YouTubers, they will, whoa, what the heck? What? Oh, I've got one that's straightforward and one that's backwards. That's kind of crazy. I'm just going to blow this one up, and then we'll make it smaller, okay? Whoa. That's so big. I think this is the right one because this is my left hand. Anyways, what was I going to say? I got all distracted by this thing. I was talking about how other YouTubers, I can't remember. Oh, other YouTubers start with the good stuff. I normally end with the good stuff. I'm kind of opposite, right? I want to grab people's attention, I suppose, and moments like this are very obvious as to why I'm not. I don't care that much, I guess. I do care. I want your attention, but at the same time, if it's not doing it for you, I don't blame you. What I'm trying to say, beyond getting distracted here, is if we look at this RSI right here, we're actually identical, I think, very identical to what we were doing over here. It's similar. It's not completely identical, right? We did get into the overbought zone. We're here. We rejected the overbought zone, but it's very similar, okay? You found support down here. You found support down here. Same area, right? You had your move up, rejecting the overbought zone. You got into it a little bit here. You had your move up, rejecting the overbought zone. Didn't get into it. You actually missed it a little bit. Kind of a weaker move overall. Next move up, again, rejecting the overbought zone, coming down. And where you found support is actually where you found support now, right? You've got these higher lows coming in on the RSI. You've got these higher lows here coming in. It all makes sense. And if I circled this point here and this point here in the RSI, which to me it just seems like we're at a very similar setup overall to what we are here. Very similar setup indeed. If we look at the price action, of course we are. It makes so much sense because bam! Right at the low there, man. Right at that, right there. That's where we were right before we did this. Right here. Right here, man. Right before we do that. And if you zoom out and you look at it, it's just obvious. Right? It makes all the sense in the world. You compare this zone to what we did back here, right? You moved up. You consolidated. You moved up again. You moved up. You consolidated. You moved up again. And we're about to be in that move up again phase. And your RSI, it's uncanny how similar it looks. So now that we've established that likely we are going to move up, and it likely will be something similar to this move. Let's do that, right? Let's take the low. Come on, the low to the high. Maybe I should take the overall high. Not this high, but like this move's high. I feel like that's the move. That encapsulates the move, right? You had your initial move up, consolidated a little bit, your last hurrah, and then from here, you really started to consolidate, right? Of which we're still consolidating. You still went higher, but I feel like this is not so much a part of the move. This is. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. You can consolidate to the upside. If this move here, same move that we just saw, that we just measured, was to happen here, and let's say we're starting it from this low, or kind of around this low here. Let's get to it. So something, yeah, around there. Then that move would take us all the way up to $146,000. My theory is that this move will actually be stronger than the last move, right? And the reason for that, and I've said it a few times, but we'll go over it real quick. The reason for that is moves in Bitcoin's bull cycle tend to only get stronger as the cycle progresses, right? We can observe this in the last cycle. Really, last cycle, there was only two moves, okay? From a low point here to a high point there, we had one move. Then we consolidated for a very long time, right? I'm not going to take the low point here. This next move was basically from here, from this low point here to a high point here, right? And it was bigger. The cycle finish was bigger. It's not really a fair comparison to make, but that's what we got. Here, if we go to the cycle before, you can see, right, low to high, had that move 152%. Low to high here, 123%, right? It didn't get bigger technically each time, but then as we go forward, right, you're getting 143% move here from a relative low to a relative high. It's getting bigger, 236%, right? You're seeing what I'm saying. The average move gets bigger as you're going through the cycle, right? It only gets bigger, right? The biggest moves are at the end. The smallest moves are at the beginning is all I'm trying to say. And you can go through and measure any cycle. We've done so many videos where we validated that, right? If that didn't validate it there for you, then this is the first time you've seen the channel, because I promise you there's a lot of reasons. More than this, I'm just not going to go. This isn't one of those videos. I don't want to bore everybody with that, right? We can talk about that on another day. But trust me, you can do your own analysis. Go through any cycle, and you'll see that before the halving, the moves were smaller. After the halving, the moves were bigger. This was the high that we had before the halving. Or no, I'm sorry. This was the high that we had before the halving. So the moves afterwards, I assume, will be bigger than the moves that we've had before, okay? This move here already, by the way, is pretty small compared to what we've seen. From a relative low here to a relative, let's just say a relative, this would probably be the move. Relative high there, 52%. Low here to relative high there, 58%, yeah. Low here to not that high, because that's not the move, that's the consolidation. I would say that's the move. 80%, you can see they're getting bigger and bigger, right? Low here to high there. 91% getting bigger each time. This one, however, from the low to the high, which again wasn't the high, but maybe it was like this high or it was this high, 55%. That's on par with these smaller moves. My theory is this. This next move is not going to be the same size as this last move, because this last move was weak as hell. And we were figuring things out with Trump. Is he going to fulfill his promises? Are things going to be received positively? Is he going to get assassinated? Are things in the crypto world going to go wrong? Like what's going on? We're trying to figure things out. Well, we've got it figured out now, and things look pretty damn bullish, you guys. I don't believe we're going to see a move like this. Now, if we compared it to these moves, and you don't want to measure from there, okay, fine, let's measure from there. 69%, whatever, 69, 91. Do something like that. A 69% move would take us all the way up to about 165K, about 165. A 91% move would take us all the way up to about 187. I don't believe we see a larger than 91% move, but I believe we could. Okay, a lot of people, not enough people, I should say, are talking about prices that are above 180K as possibilities for this next target area. But it makes the most sense. And in fact, everybody, so many people, myself included, are comparing what we could do here with what we've done already in this cycle. And if that's true, if you're going to compare this to that, man, this was a 91% move we made in like 7 weeks' time. Okay? We could do this by the end of March. We could be above 187K. We really could. We could be 190, around 200K. It's possible. And if you don't accept it as a possibility, you're going to miss it. You're going to mess it up. Or unless you just sit on your hands, I guess there's no way to mess it up. Even if you're wrong, you can be right if you just do nothing if you're not trying to be smart, right? You just buy and hold. But my point being is that even though 91%, there's reasons to make sense out of it being a bigger move than 91%. Even though that we could do that, I think that we will stop between 69 and 91%. So let's identify a range that would make sense from there. From a high to a low on a fib perspective, you've got the 2618 at about 143K, but again, a move of that magnitude doesn't make sense to me. So the next target area is at about 160K. Okay, 64%, smaller than what we were looking for, but let's go on the lower end of things. Let's say that minimum next target over the next 4 weeks to 6 weeks. The minimum next target is 160K. Nothing less will do. Do you hear me? 160K Bitcoin by the end of February, if not by the end of March, probably the middle of March. Nothing less will do. Okay. And the move's starting now. So this whole, but you've been pushing your targets back. Yeah, man, I've been talking about this breakout here. It's the same thing that I was talking about back here. We're here a month later. Of course, the targets are going to get pushed back. But now that we're actually moving, the targets won't. If anybody's saying that, and if you're one of those people who's thinking that, oh, he's pushed the targets back for the last month we've been moving sideways. So if you're thinking that while we're not moving sideways anymore, just understand you're not thinking properly, my friends. Okay, 64% takes us to 160K. The next target based off the fibs will be 175K. And there's a lot of sense to be made of 175K from a cycle high to a cycle low here. It's also our golden ratio 1618 extension right there at about 173K, okay? And that's a 77% move. That falls in between this move here, the 69% move, and this move here, the 91% move. That does it for me. I like that. I like that a lot. I like something around 175 to 185K. That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, if we don't stop there, and if we do something that would actually make a lot of sense in the crypto bull market right now, which is we would see a bigger move than Bitcoin has seen throughout this whole bull cycle so far. And that would actually make a lot of sense if you reference any prior bull cycle. It would only make sense that this next move could be the strongest move we've seen so far. And if it is, maybe I should take it from that low. I don't know. If I take it from that low, technically, 175K would be 94%. I guess it's how you would interpret it. On a weekly basis, I'd have no problem taking it from that low. But again, I don't feel like the move necessarily started there. I feel like it would start this week. Because if you look at it on a daily basis, right, we're still consolidating in this range. The move hasn't started yet, right? The move, just like this move started here, you moved up beforehand, but does that all make sense? Speculative. Hard to say. There's ways to make sense out of this being the biggest move, 94%, but doing it the way that I'm saying it, that'd be 77%. So running with this logic, if we were to see the biggest move, the only next target area would be $215,000. And I haven't even spoke those numbers as a possibility by the end of March, but I'm certainly speaking them now. I accept it as a possibility. I don't think we're going to go there. I don't think enough people are talking about these numbers, though, which is why it's even more possible. Too many people are talking about these numbers, okay? 140, 120K. Too many people are talking about those numbers. That's how you know we're blowing through it. We're going to blow right through that. We're going to exceed everybody's expectations, okay? And where we're going to go at a minimum is 160K, likely 175K, somewhere thereabouts. Unlikely, but still possible, 215 to 230. You never know. Hit the like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I appreciate you all for being here. I hope you like the analysis. Weekly RSI is getting into the overbought zone if we can close here or higher this week. The last time that we got into the overbought zone was here. On this week, it was the beginning of our last move. Whenever we got into the overbought zone here, the last time it was right here, it was the beginning of the move before that. Whenever we got into the overbought zone here on the weekly, it was not the beginning. We actually began on this week where we were not technically in the overbought zone, but it was still near the beginning. If you measure this move from a low to an overall high, if you got in at the end of this week where the RSI confirmed being in the overbought zone, if I could just get it there, right? Out of this whole line up, you basically caught half the move. So it wasn't the most opportune, but still, it meant you had more to go, and then even more after that, right? In other words, though, these overbought moments in the RSI, they tend to foreshadow good things to come. I expect not only do we have good things to come, but we might have the best move to come of the cycle so far. We'll see. Hit the like button, you guys. Subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.